You know, doing things really fast is really fun. Going up the stairs at ultra speed, turning off Twitter at the speed of light when you see something unhinged, and doing just about anything in a Sonic game. Video game developers took note of this and invented the game mechanic known as a QuickTime event. A QuickTime event, or QTE as it's otherwise known, is what you call those times where you have to press certain buttons at the right time when you're playing a video game. And no, Tabitha, it's not what you do in regular gameplay, say slashing with your sword, jumping between platforms, or filing for divorce. A QTE is performed during a cutscene or cutscene-esque event. Recently, I've encountered all kinds of QTEs, ranging from good to bad to, oh universe, what did I do to deserve this? Because of that, I started thinking about why these simple things could have such a varying effect on me, and then the idea for this video popped into my head. So today I wish to quickly talk about QuickTime events. Now, in this video I'll use an acronym that I made up. You may ask, why would that be necessary? And to that I say, shh. I spent at least 30 minutes thinking of this acronym, so I'm gonna use it, alright? So when it comes to what makes a good QTE, I have 6 things that I find to be very important. These 6 are accessibility, space, purpose, indication, refuge, and ergonomics. Together, these 6 concepts form the word aspire, because we all aspire to make good QuickTime events? Look, I spent a lot of time trying to find a word that would work, okay? I almost went with icebox for crying out loud. I won't be going through the concepts in order of the acronym because yeah. I want to go through them all as they perhaps would show up in the process of being added into a game. So with that out of the way, we will start with purpose. Purpose is very important for a QTE. Before you even decide to add it to your scene, you need to ask yourself, does this QTE enhance the experience or will it make someone break their controller? I haven't seen this that much in recent years, but there was a time where QTEs were in like every game, and so because of that we ended up getting a lot of games with really unnecessary QTEs. I'm talking times where the QTE would have been way better as just a normal cutscene or as normal gameplay. I'd say that a QTE has 2 purposes. One is to allow the player to feel like they're part of the spectacle going on. Because sometimes the developers want to make a really cool cutscene, maybe for the end of a story or a defining moment. Letting it play out on its own will work out great, but allowing the player to play a little part in the spectacle can give you the feeling of, yeah, I did that. The second thing that a QTE does is to help transition from really intense gameplay to cutscene by slowing down the intensity. It kind of acts as an escalator, just going down and not up. Going from intense gameplay to cutscene can feel like walking down a set of stairs, but with a QTE in between those two, it'll become like an escalator, slowly helping you from the 2nd floor down to the 1st floor McDonald's. So at this point you've probably made up your mind, and for the sake of this video not ending now, let's say that you said, yes, this scene needs a QTE. You start to implement the QTE and decide where it's going to start, and hold on, wait, what the fuck are you doing? Pull the brakes. Did you just decide that the start of the QTE should be after this long ass cutscene, which is just a bunch of boring exposition and terrible jokes? What are you? The Hitler? The devil? Andrew Tomato? It looks like you need to think about the next concept, which is refuge. Refuge refers to having good checkpoints before and after a QTE, because there is nothing quite as frustrating as having to redo a QTE because you weren't paying attention and now you have to watch a really long cutscene again. So you need to make sure that the player has a nice refuge from unnecessary repetition. To do this properly, you need to make sure that there's a checkpoint right before and right after a QTE, or at least close enough that it won't ruin the experience. Now that a well-placed refuge is in place for the player, you can move on with your soon-to-be perfect QTE. I assume at this point you want to pick and choose what buttons that the player is supposed to press and how they're going to press them, and what did you just do? Did you seriously just tell the player to hold the right bumper and the left stick whilst mashing down on the D-pad? Who told you to do that? Was it Tabitha? Was it Tabitha that told you to do that? Tabitha, I swear to dog, if you don't stop, I will kill. This isn't going to work out, so now is a good time to bring up a new concept, ergonomics. For those of you that don't know what ergonomic means, it basically means comfortability when it comes to movement and such. For example, lifting with your legs is way more ergonomic than lifting with your back. We can apply this to QTEs as well, and button layouts in general. Asking the player to provide a blood sample just to jump is straight up silly. You therefore have to make sure that when the player is under a time constraint like in the QTE, that the buttons they need to press won't require a game of Twister with their thumbs. For a controller, almost any button press is fair game. It's only ever an issue when you want to do button combinations. When it comes to keyboard and mouse, I'd say that left click, right click, W, A, S, D, Q, E, R, and space are all fair game. Runner-ups would be Shift, Left Control, and F since they don't really fit in a QTE. What buttons that fit in a QTE have already been decided by the industry in a way, since the buttons with easy access are the ones that are frequently used. Because of this, it gets a bit awkward for the player when they're first asked to press W and then, I don't know, backspace. But whatever, maybe you really liked Tabitha's idea so you want to keep that button combo for the QTE. That's fine, as long as there's enough time to— oh my god, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You can't ask someone to press that combination in 0.3 seconds. Fine, I guess I'll have to teach you about the importance of the fourth concept, space. The time that a player gets between seeing the instructed button prompt and then the point where it needs to have been executed needs to be fair. There needs to be enough space. The human reaction time can be pretty shit, and it does not help when the QTE asks you to predict the future. The only good way to make sure that the space is just right and not too short or long is with player testing. You can test it yourself, sure, but it would be a good idea to let someone else test it too. That way you can make sure that any player will get through the QTE so they can enjoy the rest of the game, except for Tabitha. She has no thumbs. Now, you might think we're done here, but I just tried your little QTE sequence and I have failed this section here multiple times. I'm mashing X, but I keep dying and everybody is more stiff than my grandpa's hip. You know what this scene lacks? That's right, it's concept number 5, which is indication. You need to implement some clear indicators that all that button mashing I'm doing is actually doing something. A good QTE will have the characters progressing, or there will be some kind of circle or meter that grows larger to indicate that yes, you're winning, son. Let me explain a little further by example. If you have two characters that are pushing against each other and the goal is for the player character to gain the upper hand, you can do two things. One, you can show the player character pushing the antagonist back to indicate progress. Two, you can have a circle around the button prompt that gradually fills up until the circle and the button mashing itself is complete. And see, oh, now I understand. You wanted me to mash quicker. Oh, thank you. Now, surely we're done, right? Well, no. See, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because it's been wrecking my apartment for the past 5 minutes. I don't know how it got here. Please call someone. It destroyed my phone and it's about to go on another stampede. Please send help. All of us gamers are different. Not only do we come from different walks of life, in different sizes, different genders, we also vary a lot when it comes to our ability to play games. I am, of course, talking about disability. Some of us literally cannot perform certain actions because of things that are out of our control. Because of this, we not only should, but we have to talk about the final concept, which is accessibility. When you decide to implement a QTE, you have to have a setting to somehow get around it. Some people are straight up unable to quickly press a button, so there should always be an option to turn QTEs off or alter the way they work so that instead of button mashing, you can hold the button instead. This is the most important thing that all developers should remember, because having a workaround for a QTE is very simple to implement, and it means that more people get to enjoy your game. And honestly, that's what all video games should do. They should provide an escape from the dumpster fire that is humanity for a few hours, and nobody should be blocked off from that temporary escape. So now that I've gone through all parts of aspiring, I think it would be a good thing to go over some examples of QTEs to test this acronym. I'll be going relatively fast because this video is already too long, but here we go. Mini Ninjas, a game you probably haven't heard of. Accessibility, you're unable to turn the QTEs off in the options menu. That's bad, no point. Space, you can straight up press the wrong button at first, and as long as you quickly press the right button afterwards, you're good. It's a yes from me, dog. Purpose, the fact that all boss fights are just QTEs is boring, and it would have been way more fun with regular gameplay. It bad. Indication, since the QTEs are so easy, there's really no reason for a good indication, but still, there's next to none of it. Do better. Refuge, when you fuck up a QTE, you have to get into position again, which can be a little tedious but not hard. Still shitty regardless of difficulty. Finally, ergonomics. The game has totally sane and normal buttons you need to press like X, Y, A, and B, so therefore Mini Ninjas gets a final score of 2. Dying Light has no accessibility, shitty. Space, mostly alright, but for certain scenes it's too quick, which means multiple repetitions, annoying. Purpose, overall fine, but just for making the final boss a QTE it ruins everything, hate it. Indication, when mashing there's a circle filling up around the key, good job. Refuge, even though the last boss is a QTE, the checkpoint is right at the start of it and most other QTEs follow that trend, good. Ergonomics, I played on PC and I don't remember the buttons being all that weird, good job. Dying Light gets a score of 3 out of 6. Marvel's Spider-Man, accessibility, you can turn off all QTEs, fantastic. Space, time often slows down during a QTE, beautiful. Purpose, it enhances a cool cutscene of Spider-Man doing Spider-Man shit by making you feel like I'm doing it, yas queen. Indication, when succeeding with a button press it goes green and mashing has a circle meter that fills, hells yeah. Refuge, the checkpoints come right before the QTE, gorgeous. Ergonomics, the buttons make sense and they make sense for the action you're performing. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Spider-Man aspired to make good QTEs and they sure fucking did. 6 out of 6 points. Now this last one is very important and might upset someone, but I don't care because that person is dead wrong. Resident Evil 4 is a good game, but Lord have mercy upon my gamer soul, that shit reeks of terrible, god-awful QTEs. Accessibility, no way to turn them off or change them without mods, no good. Space, fine mostly, but sometimes you get 1/10 of a second, not cool dog. Purpose, the dodging could have been as simple as a dodge button, and the QTEs ruin the cutscenes because it takes away my focus from what's happening, terrible. Indication, when button mashing I have no idea if I'm making progress or not unless I'm turning a crank, stupid. Refuge, they're just awful, and in one section after you survive a gauntlet of on-rails fighting, there's 2 QTEs. If you mess them up, you have to start over from the very beginning of the on-rails section. I can't believe you've done this. Ergonomics, if you're on keyboard and mouse, the buttons are kind of strange as you often need to press X to do things, but that isn't so terrible. The dumbest part is the fact that the game switches between 2 dodge buttons, and one is acceptable and the other makes me want to commit murder. To dodge, you either press left and right click, which is sane, or you press X and C together, which is not the easiest switch to make in a split second during regular intense gameplay. I wish the person that chose X and C as a dodge button stubbed their toe repeatedly, 1 time per every fucked up QTE it caused me. Final score, Capcom needed to aspire harder, 0 out of 6 points. So, now I hope all of you understand QTEs a little better, and I hope all of you developers remember to aspire more. And before I go, I would really appreciate it if you would check out my Twitch channel because things have been a little slow lately. It usually is pretty chill, and I would love for you to swing by. Maybe we can talk video games for a while whilst I suck at the game that I'm playing. And other than that, I challenge all of you to figure out a better acronym because I'm not sure that Aspire is gonna catch on that well. Just remember to use synonyms and not use words that really vaguely match. So no, Tabitha, you cannot use potato instead of refuge because potatoes are your comfort zone. Now I hope you all have a wonderfully good evening, morning, day, night, whatever it might be, wherever you might be, and I hope to see you all next time.